The next person to the stage is an amazing human I just got to meet. The first deafblind person to graduate from Harvard Law School, Haben Girma advocates for equal opportunities for people with disabilities. President Obama named her a White House champion of change. She received the Helen Keller Achievement Award and a spot on Forbes 30 Under 30. Haben travels the world consulting and public speaking, teaching clients the benefits of fully accessible products and services. She's a talented storyteller who helps people frame difference as an asset. She's resisted society's low expectations, choosing to create her own pioneering story. Haben is working on a book that will be published by Hachette in August. She's from Oakland, California, where all the cool kids are from. But you all belong here, whether or not you're from here. Please put your hands and hearts together for the unstoppable Haben Girma.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for welcoming me. I am deafblind, and I wasn't able to hear the audience, but I'm able to come up with alternative techniques because people with disabilities are creative and always find alternative solutions. The system I'm using uses Braille. I have a computer up here with Braille dots on the bottom. I run my fingers over the dots to feel the letters. There's an interpreter on stage who has a keyboard that's wirelessly connected to my computer. And Becca is giving visual and audio feedback. Like when you all said good afternoon, she typed good afternoon, exclamation mark. Connecting with people is really important to me. So I seek solutions to try to connect with people, and this is one solution. So throughout my talk, Becca's gonna be giving me visual and audio feedback from the audience. If people smile, if people laugh, if people fall asleep, she's watching you. My name is Haben Girma. The name Haben comes from Eritrea. It's a small African country. Ethiopia borders to the south, and to the north is the Red Sea. My mother grew up during the war between Eritrea and Ethiopia. A lot of violence, a lot of fear. And schools were places where people got together and shared stories from all over the world. Stories are powerful. Stories influence the organizations we design, the products we build, and the futures we imagine for ourselves. She heard stories, America's the land of opportunity, America's the land of civil rights. Those stories inspired her to take the dangerous journey walking from Eritrea to Sudan. She was a refugee for about 10 months in Sudan. Then a refugee organization helped her come to the United States. Several years later, older, wiser, my mother realized it's not geography that creates justice. It's people that create justice. Communities create justice. All of us face the choice to accept unfairness or advocate for justice. As the daughter of refugees, a Black woman, disabled, lots of stories say my life doesn't matter. The dominant story is that people with disabilities are a burden on society. That's the dominant story. I choose to create my own story. I define disability as an opportunity for innovation. Yes, I have limited vision and hearing. I have a disability. And notice I say disability, not differently abled or special needs. I like being direct and honest. I do have challenges. The story doesn't end there. The story starts and continues with all the different ways people with disabilities have for creating alternative solutions. I shared one, the keyboard and Braille computer. I travel around with my guide dog. Lots of different solutions. Next slide. I want to share a video that shows sign language. Sign language is actually a form of innovation. If you can't hear spoken language, you can create a visual language. In the video, a young man is signing, and I'm holding my hand over his hand to feel his signs. This is tactile sign language. If you can't hear or see a language, you can create a tactile language that you can feel. People with disabilities all over the world have been innovative, and deaf communities all over the world have developed sign languages. The dominant one in the US is American Sign Language. In France, there's French Sign Language. Across the pond in the UK, they have a completely different language, and it makes no sense to me. They call it British Sign Language. So very few people actually think about this, but individuals who face disabilities have the opportunity to come up with solutions, and many do. And these solutions have the potential to benefit our entire community. Sign language is one form of communication. Another form of communication is dance. Next slide. We have a video that shows salsa dancing. And salsa is a form of communication. When I was a kid, I actually went to school here in Oakland, in public schools here in Oakland. And at first, physical education was something I was dismissed from. I didn't feel I belonged in PE classes, and many instructors gave me that impression. When I was in middle school, I discovered a teacher who believed in inclusion even in the field of physical education. And she taught me salsa and swing and several other dances. She was actually a blind dance instructor. If one is blind and they can hear the music and respond to the music. If one is deaf and can see, they can see the other dancers and see the beat, or watch the hands of the musicians and see the beat. When I dance with partners, swing, salsa, other partner dances, music is communicated through their hands. The musicality and the beat can be felt. So I feel the music through the people I dance with. That's another way to connect and communicate with people and belong in a community. I've found many dance places all around the world that welcome me, and I've also found places that excluded me. A friend and I tried to go salsa dancing in DC, and the establishment said, "You're not welcome here, no service dogs." And we explained, it was a very cold night, so we were standing outside and tried to explain, and they kept insisting, "No dogs, you can't come in here." Disability is not a barrier to dance, but social attitudes and communities create barriers, and it's up to all of us to choose to remove the barrier. The default is people with disabilities don't belong, but there are thoughtful, inclusive people who take affirmative steps to create inclusion and create welcoming spaces. A lot of my success has to do with finding those people and meeting those people. One of my teachers in high school came to me one day and said, "Do you want to try surfing?" And I thought to myself, how would a blind person go surfing? That seemed like the most far-fetched idea. But I told her, let's give it a try, let's figure it out. So she introduced me to a community that does tandem surfing. Next slide. And in tandem surfing, we have a large board, 2 people fit on the board. There's a water guide in the back. Thank you for the applause. There's a water guide in the back who helps steer to make sure we don't crash into anything. And it was a fabulous experience. I can feel the power of the waves through the surfboard. It's amazing to feel the strength and openness of the ocean when you're out there on the surfboard. And I asked myself, this is great. How far can we go? How inclusive and accessible can we make this experience? And I asked surf schools, can I get surfing lessons? And they told me, we've never done this before. We've never heard of a deafblind surfer. Then I found a school that said, we've never done this before, but let's try. Let's find a solution. Next slide. So an instructor surfed side by side with me, and I was able to maintain control of my own board and practice the skills of surfing on my own. Wonderful, incredible experience. And I said, next, more. I found another surf school, this time in Hawaii, and we did another lesson. Next slide. And in this video, my guide dog watches anxiously as I ride the surfboard on my own for the first time. Oh, actually, it sounds like we're missing a video. Can we go back? Oh, found it. Excellent. Now you guys got a peek to what's coming up. So inclusion happens when people take affirmative steps to make it possible. Any activity you can imagine can be made accessible, even as far-fetched as surfing. It's about communities choosing to do the work, to choose inclusion. And I've been relying on people to do this. And I've also asked myself, what can I do in my community to make changes and to make our community more inclusive? And I decided to go into law because that's a field where you can have an impact in many different ways. And when I got to Harvard Law School, they told me, we've never had a deafblind student before. And I told them, I've never been to Harvard Law School before. We didn't have all the answers. We pioneered our way using assistive technology and high expectations. Harvard had a history of excluding people with disabilities. When Helen Keller applied to Harvard, when she was looking for colleges to attend, Harvard wouldn't admit her because back then Harvard only valued men. Helen's disability didn't hold her back. Her gender didn't hold her back. It was the community at Harvard that excluded women. Then over time, the community changed at Harvard, and they started opening their doors to women, people of color, and people with disabilities. It's communities that create inclusion, and it's up to all of us to do the work to make our communities more accessible. Okay, let's go to the Obama photo now. So I've been working as a disability advocate, and that took me to the White House, the Obama White House, and for the celebration of the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. When I met President Obama, we explained that I'm deafblind and I access information best through Braille. He graciously switched from voicing to typing so that I can access his words. Inclusion is a choice. When you choose to be inclusive, You role model inclusion for the rest of your community, and you influence others around you to make that choice. People with disabilities are one of the largest minority groups, over 1.3 billion people with disabilities worldwide. It benefits all of us. All of our bodies change as we age, and we deserve dignity and inclusion at every stage in our lives. So do it for people with disabilities, and also do it for you, because it affects all of us. Thank you.
I'm here to take the questions.
We're gonna move on to Q&A, and I wanna invite people to ask me any questions you want, but we're gonna have people use the keyboard. So if you could come on stage, come to the table with the keyboard and type your questions. You can ask about anything from advocacy to surfing. It's up to you.
I think what we're going to do is identify the 3 folks who are going to ask the questions by a show of hands, and I get to pick, which is fun. So if you have a question, shoot up a hand. I'm going to pick from all 3 sections of the room. So right in front, boom, that's you. Person with a white shirt on, yes. And way in the back, I see a hand, person in a blue shirt. Yep, you see yourself as well. And then someone over here, I'm trying not to assume anything, but switch up phenotype. They're already wearing a blue shirt. Yes, right up, yes. I mean, he a G too, let's go. That's our 3rd one, perfect. So if you can just come down to the front and queue with us, and if you need assistance getting there, please let us know. Haben looks beautiful. We became friends backstage, so now I'm just joking with my homegirl on stage.
Thank you for that.
No problem. We've almost got all 3 folks, Haben. Perfect. Are we just going to pass the keyboard down?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And don't worry about spelling and grammar. I won't tell the audience if you make mistakes.
Haben promised not to tell anyone all the grammar errors I made backstage, even though I claim to be a professional writer. All right, we are ready with our first questioner. May I have a seat here?
Hi, and what's your name? Maria. Good to meet you. Great to meet you as well. I wanted to know, how do you help those with unseen disabilities to feel included? I'm wondering specifically about those with mental health issues. Also, please let me know when you're in DC. I would love to take you dancing. I love dancing, so that sounds great. So there's a lot of stigma around mental health, and I really want our culture to change and accept that humans are all diverse, and disability and mental health invisible disabilities matter too, If we can get more positive stories in the media addressing the experiences of individuals with invisible disabilities, I feel that will help reduce a lot of the stigma. So my main suggestion is to help get more positive stories out there to address those issues, and also make sure that there's proper health care services and everyone who needs it gets access to mental health services. Thank you, Maria.
I think we're ready for our next person to ask a question, coming to the stage. I also want to shout out that Haben went to Skyline High School, go Mighty Titans.
Hello, I've been following you for a while and thrilled to be here. I missed that, sorry. I'm a deaf, bilingual woman from Australia. Did I get Aboriginal? My question to you is, as in America, the Disability Discrimination Act has for many years tried to advocate for access. So what is your role between Aboriginal people here in America having access to information to the same information that you provide in your presentations here today, to ensure that Indigenous people have access to information as well? So some of my talks and stories are online and on YouTube for free for individuals, but we need help getting those messages in additional languages. And if you know community organizations that can help translate that into more languages so more people have access, that would be amazing. I agree, totally agree. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely, absolutely. Good to meet you, Marsha. Marsha says hi. My name is Marsha Saxton. I work for the World Institute on Disability.
I'm a critic of genetic engineering that seeks to eliminate disabled people before we're born.
I'm a critic of genetic engineering that seeks to eliminate people with disabilities. before we're born.
I appreciate your undefensive, unapologetic attitude about your disability.
I appreciate your unapologetic attitude about your disability. I have a lot of disability pride.
This is a very controversial, confusing issue, and I wonder if you would be willing to comment.
This is a controversial issue, and I'm wondering if you'd be willing to comment. Yes,
Prenatal testing.
on prenatal testing for intent to abort
Fetuses with disabilities.
fetuses with disabilities,
Or potentially would become.
or would potentially become a disabled person. So the dominant story is that people with disabilities don't matter, and I think a lot of parents and doctors subscribe to this dominant story. So my hope is to educate more of these parents and doctors and let them know that people with disabilities have lives worth living, that we're talented and contribute to our society, and they would be proud to have us as kids.
That's what I was hoping you would say. Thank you.
We have one more young person with a question, and I'm a softie for young people, so we're going to let him ask a question. Thank you.
We have one more person with a question. All right, one more question.
He wants you to type. My name is Coyotena.
My name is Coyotena, and I go to Sequoia Elementary School. And my question is, clapping. What should kids do, like with people with disabilities, and like how to include them in stuff? Yes, good question. So when I was a kid, it was really hard to make friends. Most of the times, I did not have friends in elementary school. So if kids in elementary school can make an effort to reach out and connect to those who are different, or those you suspect don't feel like they belong, people need to take affirmative steps to be inclusive. So maybe you could share with those at Sequoia Elementary to be more inclusive and take steps to make their community more inclusive. There are a lot of people with disabilities, including my best friend's little brother. And my school has done a very good job including him. When I asked him about if his popularity was because of him or just people, he said it was because people liked him. Good, good. So we want to be liked for our personalities, and I think all kids should get a chance to be affirmed for their personalities.
Very good job.
Thank you.
You're so good. So good. I'll talk to you, okay?
Thank you, everyone. You're welcome to reach out to me online through social media, and I'll also be here at the conference. Enjoy your day.